Ah, I see. You thought the Russians will be the only one with double-barrel tanks. Well, you are wrong, because Wargaming decided today is the day to introduce a new tank to the Supertest, the TS-54. This tank has presumably a 90mm, two 90mm guns having 280 alpha. It is, as you can see, double-barreled, meaning it can also use the double-barrel mechanic, aka shooting both guns at the same time. It also has a pretty strong turret, at least on the paper, and I guess now it is time we are going to have a look at the stats a little bit closer, starting with the guns. Well, the guns come off with 280 alpha. It has 200mm of penetration with its standard AP rounds and 252mm with its APCR premium rounds and 47 with, well, HE. But I don't think you will use HE that often when you only have 47mm of penetration. Then we have 8.5 seconds reload time per gun, which is pretty alright. I would say it actually gives off a DPM of 1976 if you decide to just shoot normally like you would every other tank, like just shoot when your gun is loaded. It does give us almost the same DPM as the Object 703 version 2, which is actually pretty interesting. However, if we continue comparing to the 703 version 2, don't forget it does have 221mm of base penetration with APCR, 390 alpha, as well as 270mm of heat penetration. When you want to use the double shot, you need to wait 3 whole seconds until you're able to blast the enemy technically with 560 damage, which is not that much compared to the version 2, which has 780 on average. And you will also block your guns for 6 whole seconds, meaning if you're going to do a double shot, you will have to wait 14.5 seconds until you can shoot again, which is a whole boatload of time. And if you just want to burst somebody with the second shot of your gun, you need to wait 3 seconds, meaning that in 3 seconds you're able to do 560 alpha as well. The accuracy is rather meh, 0.44 if we have to be completely honest. That is a pretty big yikers. It is even worse than the version 2, which has 0.42. And the aim time is 3.5 seconds, so clearly this is not going to be a very accurate gun to use. The thing you don't see on this paper, however, is the soft stats, and the soft stats are exactly the same ones as the version 2, meaning you have amazing gun handling on the move and during turret traverse. Like seriously, it's pretty darn pog. We have 0.12 accuracy on the move of the hole and 0.06 accuracy on the move of the turret. Now that is really good, and again it's exact same as the 703 version 2, so if you like the gun handling of the 703, you will like the gun handling of the TS-54, as it's exactly the same. However, it is coming above the 703 with 8 degrees of gun depression, and that is a pretty good value if we are completely honest. 8 degrees against the 5 degrees the 703 version 2 has, well, I guess you can imagine which one I'm going to prefer. So that is actually fairly decent, and you should be able to abuse cover a lot better than the 703. And you will see in just a few minutes that this is also going to be the case with its actually really good armor of the turret, at least on the stats or on the paper. We don't know yet, it might be different, who knows. Let's move over to the mobility, and the mobility is also fairly... nah, it's not good. We have a 35 kph top speed, 15 kph in reverse, and an HP per ton ratio of 11.4. Now this sounds okay-ish. It isn't. It really isn't. The 703 version 2 has 3 kph better top speed, as well as 1.1 HP per ton ratio more. And now comes the biggest issue. The TS-54 decided to have one of the worst soft stats in the game, it feels like. We have 1.4 for hard terrain, 1.7 for medium, and 3.4 for soft stats, like soft terrain, excuse me. That is ridiculously bad. Like the 703 version 2, if I'm not mistaken, has 1, 1.2, and 2. So those will be massive differences for the TS-54 when it's driving around in general. I'm definitely not going to look forward to that. However, it does have pretty decent turret traverse and hull traverse speeds with 33 degrees for the turret and 30 degrees for the hull. But yeah, seriously, this tank is not going to be fast at all, so we're most likely going to play this thing with a turbocharger, especially when you can boost it through the field modifications. Again, if this is going to be a premium, we don't know. It might be a tech tree vehicle, it might be a reward vehicle. I don't know. Like, I don't even know if the Americans even came up with double-barrel tanks, which they could use in theory for a tree. The only one I really know would be the M50 Ontos, which is not double-barreled, it's sextuple-barreled, aka 6 recoilless rifles. And I don't really think that Wargaming intends to introduce recoilless rifles, what a word. Survivability wise, we have in total 5 crew members, 2 of which being the loaders, and we have 1400 hit points. And that is already quite a big of an issue, because let's be honest, most heavies on tier 8 have 1500 hit points, not 1400. So those 100 hit points difference already can be rather annoying. To that we have an upper hull armor or hull armor in general of 102. I assume it's the upper hull, but as you can see above, it is rather steeply angled, so you should be able to bounce some stuff off. Side armor 64. Yeah, I guess you can side scrape, but you have to be careful, like that you're not over angled until other enemies are going to just have a little bit of overmatch, or rather two caliber rule in that regard. The turret looks very interesting. We have 305mm of armor on the paper, and I guess this is just the gun mantle that we have. It does even look like it is a little bit or inspired of the T-32 gun mantle in that regard. So we are going to have a really strong frontal turret, and it is going to remove one of the weak spots the 703 version 2 has. However, the question is there going to be a cupola weak spot? Because I think with that amount of armor, there should be a little bit of a weak spot. Because let's be honest, the Bofors-Sturmwagen does not have a turret weak spot. Not really. 280mm of maximum turret armor, so you can count that as a weak spot, but it isn't a really weak spot, you know? So it will be interesting to see as the TS-54 is going to get some cupola weak spot or not. Wrapping it up, it has 380 meters of view range, which is pretty decent. Obviously nothing to write home about, but a lot better than the 350 of the 703 or any other Russian heavy tank. So let's just recap the whole tank. 280 alpha with pretty decent DPM, if I do say so myself. It doesn't have good mobility, and it looks like the armor, at least in a hold down position, is going to be excellent. I don't know, the first time I saw the stats of the vehicle, I was like, blah, that looks bad. Like that looks horrible to play, and maybe even to play against. Now I do think it actually doesn't look that bad. Again, it really depends on how the gun is going to behave for real, because it is less accurate than the 703. Even though it has the same soft stats, it has worse end dispersion. And it's going to matter a lot how strong the turret is, because with 8 degrees of gun depression, you are able to abuse terrain really well. But in any case, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment. And I see you around. And thank you again, obviously. Bye!